I never thought the music I loved so much, the kind I played every single day, could one day be the very sound that almost dragged me to hell. The night I died, I heard a song. At first it sounded like the songs you and I know from today's world. But the deeper I listened, the more I realized, it wasn't music at all. It was a cry. A chain. A sound of torment echoing through eternity. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how I heard music in hell that changed my life forever. Please, listen closely, because what I'm about to share may be the most urgent warning you'll ever hear. Before I begin fully, I want to pause for just a moment and say thank you. To each one of you who listens to these testimonies, who prays for this community, and who shares these videos with family and friends, you are doing more than you know. Every comment, every prayer request, every testimony you share below is not just words on a screen. It's a seed. A seed that can save a life, a soul, and eternity. When I sat down to share my story, I almost kept it to myself out of fear of judgment. But then I saw how many people were touched, healed, and warned by stories like this on this very channel. That gave me the courage to speak up. So from my heart, I thank you. Because together, we're not just building a channel. We're building a lifeline for souls who still have time to turn back. My name is Sarah Williams, and I was born in the southern part of the United States. I grew up in a Christian home. My mother was a choir leader and my father was a quiet man who never missed a Sunday service. You would think that meant I lived my life for God. But the truth is, I only looked like a Christian on the outside. Inside, I was far from Him. I was that girl who could sing every worship song in church on Sunday but spent the rest of the week with my headphones blasting music that had nothing to do with God. Music was my life. It was how I escaped loneliness, depression, and the quiet pain of rejection. At 17, I had my first heartbreak, and instead of running to Jesus, I drowned myself in music that only fueled my anger and bitterness. By the time I was in my mid-20s, I had mastered the art of living a double life. On Sundays, I lifted my hands and said amen. On Fridays and Saturdays, I was at parties, clubs, and concerts. I didn't drink heavily, I didn't smoke, and I told myself that meant I wasn't as bad as others. But deep inside, I knew I was lukewarm. My Bible gathered dust while playlists and Spotify filled my nights. The truth? I didn't take hell seriously. I thought hell was just a concept preachers used to scare people into church. I used to say, if God really loves us, He won't send anyone there. I even joked with friends that hell was just a place for the worst of the worst, not people like me who were basically good. But I was hiding things nobody saw. I battled with secret sins. Lust, pride, envy, and an obsession with approval. I posted pictures online just for likes and attention. I envied other girls who looked prettier or lived better lives. I had relationships I knew didn't honor God, but I told myself He understood my weakness. Deep inside, though, I felt empty. I remember one night lying in bed after scrolling endlessly on my phone. My chest felt heavy. I whispered into the dark, God, are you even real? Is hell even real? If you are, then why does my life feel so meaningless? I never got an answer that night. So I pushed the thought away and went back to my music, telling myself I was fine. But I wasn't. Looking back, I see how blind I was. I didn't know the battle for my soul was real. I didn't know how dangerous it was to ignore God while filling myself with the world. I didn't know that one ordinary evening, on a date I'll never forget, my question about hell was going to be answered in the most terrifying way possible. And that's how it all began. It was a Friday night, June 14, 2019. I remember the date because it was supposed to be a night of celebration. My best friend had just gotten a promotion at her job, and we planned a small gathering at her apartment. Nothing wild, at least not by the world's standards. Just food, laughter, music, and friends. I wasn't feeling well that evening. For the past few weeks, I had been struggling with constant migraines and shortness of breath, but I brushed it off. I'm too young to be sick, I told myself. and besides, the music was already blasting when I walked in. The kind of music that made the room vibrate. The kind that drowned out every thought in my head. I smiled, I laughed, I ate. Outwardly I was fine. Inwardly, my body was screaming for rest. Around midnight, everything shifted. One moment I was laughing at a joke, and the next I felt my chest tighten like a giant hand was squeezing the air out of me. My vision blurred, my heart pounded violently, and I collapsed to the floor. I heard people screaming, calling my name, but their voices sounded muffled, distant, like they were coming from the bottom of a tunnel. And then, silence. I opened my eyes, or at least I thought I did, but I wasn't in the apartment anymore. My body lay on the floor surrounded by panicked faces, but I was above it, watching. My spirit had slipped out. I felt light at first, almost free. But then came a sound. At first, it was music. A beat, a rhythm, a melody that sounded eerily similar to the songs I used to love. My heart strangely leaned toward it. This feels familiar, I thought. But the longer I listened, the more the sound twisted. The beats turned to pounding chains. The melodies became wails. The voices weren't singing, they were screaming. It was the same music I used to drown myself in, but now stripped bare, revealing what it truly was, torment. A chill ran through me. Suddenly I was being pulled, as if invisible hands had gripped my ankles. The light from the room above me grew smaller and smaller as I descended into thick, suffocating darkness. The further I went, the worse the stench became. It smelled of sulfur, burning flesh, and something rotten I can't even describe. My ears pounded with screams that overlapped like 1,000 radios playing at once, all on the wrong station. And then came the heat. Not a gentle warmth, but a searing fire that didn't burn skin, it burned the soul. I landed on solid ground. The floor wasn't stone, it wasn't dirt, it felt alive, as though it pulsed under my feet. The air was heavy, pressing on my chest, but I wasn't breathing anymore. Everywhere I looked, there were shadows, figures writhing in torment. Some clawed at their faces, some screamed into nothingness, others were chained. And woven through it all was the sound of music, yes, music, but twisted, distorted, and endless. Songs that had once made me dance were now played as chains around the souls of the damned. I clutched my ears and cried out, God, please, no. Not here. Not me. But the music only grew louder. And in the distance, I saw something move, something vast, dark, and waiting. It was in that moment I knew. I wasn't dreaming. This wasn't a vision. I was standing at the gates of hell. The darkness thickened as I was dragged further down. It wasn't like earthly night where you can adjust your eyes and eventually see shapes. No, this was a darkness that moved, a suffocating presence that pressed against me like it wanted to swallow me whole. The music still played, but it was no longer just sound, it was torment. Every note felt like knives piercing my spirit. The bass thumped like hammer strikes. The melodies twisted into shrieks of agony. Lyrics I once sang along to without thought were now being shouted back at me by unseen voices, as though mocking me. I screamed and tried to cover my ears, but my hands passed through nothing. My body wasn't flesh anymore. I was spirit, and the torment went deeper than skin, it cut straight into my soul. All around me were figures, shadows of people. Some I could see clearly, their eyes wide with terror, their mouths stretched open in endless screams. Others were just outlines writhing in fire. Their cries blended with the music until it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. I saw a man chained to a wall, banging his head over and over until his skull cracked open, but instead of dying, he just kept going. A woman clawed at her chest as though trying to rip something out, her nails digging so deep they tore her skin, but she couldn't stop. Their torments matched their sins, and yet they never ended. The heat grew unbearable. It wasn't like standing near a bonfire, it was as though the fire was inside me, burning from the inside out, consuming everything except existence itself. The ground beneath me was alive, pulsing with the agony of every soul trapped there. It groaned and trembled like it carried the weight of unending sorrow. Then I heard a voice. Not a voice of comfort, but one dripping with mockery. "You loved the music, didn't you, Sarah?" The sound slithered through the air, low and cruel. I froze. The shadows around me began to laugh, a chorus of broken, hollow laughter that chilled me more than the fire burned me. "You danced to it, sang to it, lived by it, now you'll hear it forever." The realization hit me like a blade. The very songs I clung to for comfort in life were now my chains in death. What I thought was harmless entertainment was a hook dragging me into eternal torment. I fell to my knees, sobbing. "God, please, forgive me. I didn't know. I didn't know." My cries were swallowed by the screams around me. In the distance, I saw rivers of fire flowing like molten lava, carrying souls that clawed desperately to climb out, only to be swept back under. Demons, grotesque, towering beings with twisted faces, patrolled the edges, shoving souls back into the flames. Their laughter echoed, a sound so vile it made my stomach twist. One of them noticed me. Its eyes glowed with hunger, and it began to move toward me. Each step shook the ground. My body trembled as I tried to crawl backward, but the floor itself seemed to hold me in place. The creature bent low, its face inches from mine, and whispered, "You don't belong to him. You belong to us." My heart shattered. Despair washed over me in waves. There was no escape, no hope, no end. I was lost. I covered my face and screamed until my voice broke. And just when the creature reached for me, something shifted. The air trembled. The darkness recoiled. And through the chaos, I felt a light, faint at first, then stronger, piercing the suffocating black. I didn't see his face yet. I didn't even understand what was happening. But in that moment, for the first time since I fell, I felt something that hell could not destroy. Hope. The demon's claw reached for me, its shadow covering my trembling form. I braced for the touch, for pain beyond what I had already felt. But before it could strike, the ground beneath us shook with a force so powerful the entire place trembled. The screams paused. The laughter stopped. The music that had tormented me cut off as though silenced by an unseen hand. For the first time since I had fallen into that abyss, there was silence. And then, light. It pierced the darkness like a sword, a beam so pure and radiant that even the flames seemed to bow before it. The demons shrieked, retreating, covering their faces as if the brilliance burned them. The creature that had hovered over me stumbled backward, hissing like smoke and fire, until it vanished into the shadows. I looked up. The light grew brighter, not just around me but within me. It was as if every part of my broken spirit was being searched and seen. Shame flooded me. Every lie, every sin, every secret I thought was hidden was suddenly exposed. I fell on my face and wept. "I don't deserve you," I whispered, choking on my tears. "Please, forgive me." Then I heard it. A voice, not loud, not harsh, but steady, strong, and filled with a love so overwhelming that words fail me even now. "Sarah." Just my name. Spoken with a depth that made me tremble. I knew immediately, it was Jesus. "I did not create you for this place," he said gently. "But your choices, they brought you here." His words cut through me. I saw it all, the nights I ignored his nudges to pray, the Sundays I worshipped with my lips but not my heart, the countless times I drowned his whispers under music that glorified everything but him. My excuses, my pride, my lukewarm life, it all stood bare before him. "Lord, please," I cried. "Give me one more chance. I'll change. I'll serve you. Just don't leave me here." For a moment, silence hung in the air. My heart pounded with fear. And then his voice returned. "I am giving you mercy, Sarah. But go back and tell them. Tell them that the enemy has disguised his chains as entertainment. Tell them that the music they cling to is shaping their souls. Tell them that hell is real, and so is my love." The light surrounded me fully now, lifting me from the ground. The screams of the damned grew faint as I rose higher and higher. The stench of sulfur faded, replaced by a sweet fragrance, like fresh rain after a storm. Your time has not yet come, Jesus said. But remember this, life is a vapor. Choose me while you still can. The next moment, I gasped and jolted awake. I was back in my body, lying on the cold apartment floor. My friends were huddled around me, crying, shaking me, calling my name. One of them shouted, "She's breathing. She's back." Tears streamed down my face as I realized I had just been pulled out of hell by the mercy of God. And nothing in my life could ever be the same again. When I opened my eyes that night, everything looked the same, but nothing was the same. The ceiling of my friend's apartment, the tear-streaked faces of those around me, the faint music still buzzing from the speakers, it all felt different. I had crossed the line between life and eternity, and by the mercy of Jesus, I had been given a second chance. For days afterward, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard echoes of those screams. I smelled the sulfur. I remembered the chains hidden inside the music I once adored. The experience had seared itself into my spirit. The very next morning, I did something I never thought I would. I deleted every playlist, every song that I knew did not glorify God. It wasn't out of legalism. It was survival. I couldn't go back to what almost dragged me to hell. I dusted off my Bible, the same one that had sat unopened for months. This time, when I opened it, the words weren't just ink on a page. They were alive. They burned. They comforted. They convicted. I started attending church, not just as a ritual but as a desperate soul seeking God. Worship became more than singing, it became tears running down my face as I lifted my hands to the one who saved me. Prayer stopped being a routine and became my lifeline. My friends noticed the difference immediately. Some mocked me, saying I was too deep now. Others pulled away. But a few listened, and when I told them my story, some wept, some repented, some gave their lives to Christ. I'm not perfect today. I still stumble, I still wrestle with temptations, but I am not who I was. My heart is different. My desires have changed. Eternity is always in front of me now, and I live every day with this truth burned inside. Hell is real, but so is God's mercy. Friend, please hear me. Hell is not a story. It's not a symbol. It's real. I was there. I heard the screams. I felt the fire. I heard the music twisted into chains. And I know without Jesus, I would still be there now. Don't gamble with your soul. Don't think, I'll change tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't promised. Eternity begins the moment your heart stops beating. I beg you, repent. Turn back to God. Don't let entertainment, pride, or secret sins blind you like they blinded me. Jesus told me, warn them. And that's what I'm doing now. Hell is real. But so is His mercy. Now I want to leave you with this question: do you believe hell is real? And if you do, are you living like someone who is ready to meet God? I shared my story because I love you enough to tell you the truth. Please don't ignore it. Please don't wait. Your soul is worth more than the world. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had a near-death experience? Has God ever warned you in a dream or vision? I want to hear your story, too. Thank you for listening to mine. May God keep you safe, may His mercy cover you, and until next time, remember, eternity is just one heartbeat away. Stay ready.